As an academy owner, you work hard to build trust with your students, their parents, and your community. But trust isn't something you claim, it's something you prove and earn. That's where Academy Safe comes in. We help academies like yours stand out with verified safety standards. Background checks for all staff, U.S. Center for Safe Sports certification, concussion training, defibrillators on site, CPR, first aid and AED certification, security cameras, rank and lineage checks, and verification of business insurance. Join the trusted martial arts registry that's redefining safety throughout North America. Lead by example. Show parents you're accredited with Academy Safe.
Hello, and welcome to My Empty Hands, a podcast about the martial arts, typically focused on Kempo. As always, I am your host, Reggie Darden, and I'm excited to have another wonderful guest with me today. And I know I'm going to butcher the name because it wouldn't be my show if I didn't. David Pantano or Pantano? Pantano?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. Yeah, I always have to, I need to make a checklist of things that have to happen every episode. One is the butchering of the name. Two, my dogs will probably wake up at some point and come wandering in. So we'll do that. And then I think the third thing, now that I've kind of rearranged my quote unquote studio here, is have lighting issues. So we'll see how that goes. But
we'll get through.
So we are going to get into your story, your journey in Kempo and in the martial arts. And before we get to that, I usually start things off with just giving a little bit of my background. So at this point, I currently train in 5 different martial arts, American Kempo being the primary. Then we also have Capoeira, Hapkido, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai. And I do have some experience in Taekwondo and in boxing. So, needless to say, I stay busy with podcasting and training and life, and that's how it goes. But have fun with that, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to our guest here, and tell us how did Kempo find you? How did the martial arts find you? Where did it all start? And we'll just kind of go from there.
Okay. Always loved martial arts as a kid. I grew up in the late 70s, early 80s. So black belt theater, 5 Deadly Venoms.
Oh, yeah.
Bruce Lee. So I always loved that stuff. And as a kid, I never knew how to defend myself. So I always wanted that. Never did. When I was 18, I started boxing. And then what happened one day, I was maybe less than a year into boxing. And this guy came up, and I was leaning against my car at the time, and he came up. He goes, "This your car?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he grabbed my wrist. And he was a guy, I'm only 5'8" and 151 pounds. I'm actually 5'7" and a half. I didn't make the 5'8" mark. And he grabbed my wrist, and he grabbed him hard. And I was like, if you're a boxer, I'm kind of like, what do we do? And I didn't know about headbutts, all these other things. So I talked my way out of it, and it quickly went through my head. I'm like, okay, we need to broaden this toolbox a little bit. And I started looking for martial arts schools, and I couldn't find anything I like, because as a boxer, you move a lot, you're free-flowing, it's great. I love boxing. But all I saw was this very rigid stuff, and I'm not a by-the-book kind of guy. I'm not a traditionalist at all. And then my dad, who lived in New York at the time, said, "Why don't you come up?" He lived in Brooklyn, and that's where I was born. And he said, "We're going to go watch a movie. It's called The Perfect Weapon." I was like, whatever. So I drove out there, and I'm watching this movie, and I'm like, that makes sense to me. It looks like it makes sense. I know the whole movie aspect of the choreographed fight scenes. I could appreciate that, but the movements made sense. So when I could, as soon as I got home, I looked into the first school I could find that taught that. And, I continued boxing for a while, and then I moved right into that, because the boxing flows right in to the Kempo, and that was from then. I started boxing when I was 18. When I was 22, I started Kempo.
Very nice, very nice. Now, was that particular Kempo school? I mean, well, I guess I should say, uh, did you look at any other systems, or that it
Yes.
was just
Yeah, no, I saw Taekwondo, I saw Hapkido, I saw some mishmash arts, where I go in there and they're like, we teach this, and this, and it's my system. I'm like, okay. And I really just wanted to learn Kempo as it was. And so as soon as I found a Kempo school, that's where I signed up. So I did see other stuff. A friend of mine tried to get me started in Taekwondo. I thought the kicks were really cool. But again, in my head, from boxing, when you close the distance, there's a time and a place for everything. If you fall down, you better know some jujitsu, or some ground basics. If you're standing up, you better know some striking. If you're getting grabbed, you better know some clinch work. So I needed something that was a little more well-rounded. And that's not an insult to any other art. It's just, to me, in my opinion, which means absolutely nothing except to me, Kempo it was just something about the movements and stuff. It just made sense to me, and I fell in love with it as soon as I saw it. When I started training, it wasn't a traditional Kempo school, but it was the closest thing I could find at the time.
okay? Gotcha. I'm going to guess, was this a Tracy school?
Yes, nailed it. Yeah, it was Dennis Tostin's Amerikick, and it was Tracy based. I had never met Ed Parker, but because when I started it, he had already passed. So it was a Tracy system school. It was a franchise, very good school, great people. At the time, I thought I was getting everything I needed out of it. It was good. I started competing, and I loved it. I loved the competition, the people I met. I was doing point sparring, which wasn't the same as boxing, but I was enjoying it. Did weapons, all kinds of stuff, but fast forward, there was some guy, two guys that would come in all the time. This guy, Don Burrier, and Irv Gill. And they would train off to the side. They were older gentlemen. I was 22 at the time, 23. And these guys were probably in their 50s and 60s or in the late 40s, something like that. And they were doing stuff that looked very violent and stuff. And I asked them, it turns out they would, in exchange for them, the older guy, Don Burrier, Seafood Don Burrier, being allowed to teach Irv and this other guy, they would just teach a class or two on the weekend. And I asked them, I said, what are you guys doing? They said, oh, this is Kempo. I said, no, I'm doing Kempo. And I worked at the school at the time. I got a job because I couldn't afford my lessons. I ended up getting a job at the school. That's a whole other cool story. But they said, no, it's Parker's system. And my head tilted like a puppy. I'm like, what do you mean? And I saw the difference. And I was like, I wanted to do that. So eventually, when I left that school, I was working in a restaurant. And me and this guy, we used to beat each other up in between shifts in the restaurant. He came in one day with a VHS cassette, and he goes, I think this is more up your alley from what you're doing. And he gave me it, and it was Tatum. It was a Tatum video, VHS. I went home, I put it in there. I was like, whatever, let me see what this is. And I was like, well, I wasn't taught any of this. And that's when my journey expanded and went on a whole other path.
Yeah, no, we have a very similar story. Then, of course, I too grew up watching Black Belt theater and Kung Fu theater and all those various movies, Shaw Brother movies and such like that. And saw The Perfect Weapon, and me and a buddy of mine were instantly hooked, instantly like. What is that? What is he doing? And I remember seeing the sign at the beginning of the movie, Master Lowe's Kempo. I was like, I think they're doing Kempo, and so yeah, we found a school, and that school was well, I guess still is essentially that of the Tracy's curriculum. And so yeah, we started out with the 40 techniques per belt, which yeah, really really
listen, then you get optionals. They were optional, so they was scaled back. I guess it's more palatable for business, and there were optional techniques to fill in the blanks.
Yeah. My original teacher, he doesn't do the 40 per belt anymore. He halved them out, and then after you get your black belt, if you want to get the other ones, he'll teach you the other ones. But contrasting that with my training now, we didn't do terminology, we didn't do the sets, so having, and I'm on the 16 technique curriculum, so it kind of evens out, at least the way that I see it. But yeah, definitely a night and day difference, and kind of like you mentioned, I was not familiar with, I didn't really realize there were other forms of Kempo, and
Right. Well, with me, I was at the franchise had a tournament. They always had tournaments, and this guy was there. His name's William Martino, and this guy was not so much of an athlete, but this guy was like a walking encyclopedia of Kempo. He was a very good teacher, and he turned out he was closing up his school. And when he closed up his school, he also referred a few students to me as an option after referring them to his franchise. But he liked the way I was with my students. He said he liked the way I handled things with them, and he offered to teach me Parker system, because I didn't know. So I had the VHS, but when he started teaching me Parker system, it was the 24 technique, and he gave me all the insights. And he's the one who got me started on my path with Parker system, because I didn't met Tatum yet. I just had the VHS, and I bought some bootleg VHSs off of somebody. Of course. I got a paper shopping bag with the whole thing on there. And so after we were training at night, I had my private lessons with William Martino. My friends and I would go to my house, pizza, beer, and we just beat the shit out of each other in my living room of my single guy house, and figure out these VHSs. Yeah, that's what we did for quite a while before I had them at my school for the first time.
Very nice, very nice. So, did you have difficulty switching over to the other system?
It was humbling. It was humbling because I was a brown belt in that rank at my school where I was working at, and 30-second elevator story. Let's hit the button. Boom, we're going upstairs. There was a problem at the school. There's a mutual falling out. I stepped out, and I worked for another school for a while. That didn't work out, and then I was working in a restaurant. But I was still practicing what I knew, and I formed my own karate team with some people called Team Adrenaline, and we were doing that for a while. And then I contacted my old school. I said, I've been training for a long time, been practicing the curriculum between what I had from you and what I have from Parker system. Can you put together a panel to please evaluate me and test me for my first degree, which they kindly did. And I had a board of some very high-ranking people, and I got my first degree. After that, William Martino said, now I'll teach you everything. He didn't want to confuse me. And the Parker system, I found this, and again, anybody watching this, some people may find Parker system shit and think Tracy said whatever. There's Shaolin Kempo. There's 9 million Kempos. I found learning Parker system very humbling because there's a lot more detail. It wasn't just motions. There was a lot. There was upstairs, midway. All the principles. It wasn't so much the sets. I'm not that scientific Kempo guy. I needed to learn the meat and potatoes and how this shit worked and operated. How can I apply it in real life, not just looking pretty I always joke around with my sphincter lined up with Venus. Whenever I'm not that guy. Like, how do we cause trauma? How do we get shit done? And how do we still use this as an art? But what really humbled me was when I had Tatum at my school the first time. And we thought we had our shit together. Because I opened a school in the Jewish Klein branch, the Jewish Y in my neighborhood. And it was a multi-purpose room, daycare, Shotokan, Krav Maga. Everybody used it. And I opened up with my 11 students. And after a while, when I had Tatum in, and we can talk about how I met him, but when that seminar started, we thought we knew our Kempo. We didn't know shit. it was eye opening. So
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean,
you talk about that, but that was it was a big jump. Yes, it was. It wasn't sport karate. It wasn't franchise martial. It was yeah.
yeah, no, I can totally relate. When I got with my current teacher, um, I you know, I mean, I never thought I didn't think I was hot stuff or anything like that, but I'd been training for a while
You thought you knew
and I
enough, right?
knew a few
You
things.
know.
And when I went into the school, it was like, oh well, at my last school, I was almost to my brown belt, so I'm ready to get in and get started. And uh, uh, I was told that it's like, well, you're gonna have to start over from white belt, and it's like, what the hell? That's not a
I know stuff.
yeah. It's like I know book set, I know mass attack, I can still do those,
I love this.
um, but I went ahead and got signed up anyway, and started training, and kind of right off the bat, it was like I don't know Kempo as well as I thought I did. And
Yeah.
by the time I got to my orange belt, I was much better at Kempo than I was being almost being a brown belt. And so I was it stung a little bit at first, but I'm thankful now that I did have to start over and learn learn the way and learn the principles and learn the concepts and stuff. And I still do my other stuff off the side that I can still remember. Still have my books and stuff, and still do book set at least a couple of times a week. So I can't give up my book set. So so I like that. So we'll probably bounce around a little bit because
Yes,
that's
I'm
the
loving
way
this.
that's the
Great.
way I operate. But so I understand that you also have. Well, I guess let's cover all the arts that you train in or are familiar with at this point. Since I'm big on the cross training. Understand you have some Krav Maga and any other systems.
Well, when I opened my school, I called it Counter Strike Kenpo. That's what we called it. Counter Strike, because that's what it means to counter strike. And I opened up, like I said, in this 800 square foot utility room, multi-purpose room. And I had my 11 students and my 30 students, and then we were like at 75 students, maybe 80. We moved to another facility, but there was a point where my school, I had been open for several years, and I just couldn't get past like the $6,000 a month mark. I was making $6,600 a month, not for myself, the business. So my pay, employees' pay, the rent, all this stuff. At that point I had a like 6-year-old son. I had like 2-year-old daughter, 3-year-old daughter, and a son in the belly. Okay, so and my wife at the time looked at me, and I was looking for some guidance outside of at that point I was already under Tatum, but I was looking for some guidance. And I was looking at Dave Kovar. I looked at all these different places. I needed to learn the business. I needed to learn how to be structured and organized. Like I would have a belt test, and I would say, "All right, show me this," and like the 12-year-old kid would go, "You never showed me that," and I was like, "You're right." There was no structure. It was no. So I needed to grow, and so I found Premier Martial Arts, and I was like, "This stuff's bullshit." Like all these places, I know what I'm doing. I'm a black belt. And she looked at me, she goes, "We're broke." And so I joined with this group, which was basically consulting and how to clean stuff up and how to organize. And they gave us Krav Maga training also. Now, when I first opened in the Jewish Y, Alan Feldman was one of the guys who brought Krav Maga to Philadelphia. He was very famous. He passed away. Great guy. So I was training with him on and off here and there, but mostly teaching my Kempo. But we shared the room. And then I started training with those guys. With Premier, and Premier was a bunch of school owners like me, like you, who all trying to do the same thing. How do we grow our business? We still taught our same art, But the official art of this licensing group, it wasn't a franchise then, it was Krav Maga, kickboxing, and Kali, and some submission grappling. So when we would have our quarterly trainings, we'd all get together, it'd be like 100 people at these trainings. It was awesome. We're like learning business. We're beating the shit out of each other and smiling, and burgers and beer at night. It was epic. So that's where I was introduced to Krav Maga. I was with Ernie Kirk for a little bit. James Hiramasa did some stuff from Colorado Krav Maga, and then the next instructor was Ken Brayman, who I'm currently under with that. But my primary love is Kenpo and boxing. So that's it. So we started a Krav Maga program along with Kenpo, and then for a while we got away and we just started doing Krav Maga only. But my students gave me some pushback, not because they didn't like it, but they're like, we're not doing any Kenpo anymore. So then we had two programs running at the same time. So I had chaos, but I was used to it. So I had my Krav guys, my Kenpo guys, but we decided, let's try just doing kids only Krav. The problem was that because Krav Maga, you're teaching concepts from traditional martial arts, but you're not teaching the martial art that they come from. So you very often have some sloppy students. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Like, so we're looking at belt tests now, and I'm like, they look terrible. Because they fall back to the punch, 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 knee, knee, knee. And I was like, ugh. So then I called Tatum up one point. I'm like, what am I doing? He goes, gotta get back to teaching the concepts. But we were never a horse stance Kenpo school. Mm-hmm. We were always fighting stance, 5 swords from an A-frame. And so we started doing that again. And then I eventually just had it went to, when we were sparring, we would do boxing. All right, now let's add the feet in there. Where do we get the Kenpo? So in our school, it's still those 3 things. But when you want to talk, whenever you want to direct this conversation of where we are with it now, because it has changed dramatically. That was kind of my journey with it. But I found a Krav very useful for knife and gun and club defense. I'm not a fan of any of the Kenpo knife, gun, and club defense because there's pull reflexes, there's moving, and no one's standing there for that stuff. But there's very useful empty-handed applications to that. Just, in my opinion, which means nothing, that shit will get you killed. Holding one hand on a gun, because they're pulling, it's like take a lollipop from a 3-year-old. They're like, give me that back. Mm-hmm. What happens with the gun? So I found it very useful, and also understanding the importance of stress drills and all. And I always taught chaos drills with my Kenpo, but that kind of immersed me into that world.
Gotcha. Yeah,
that makes sense.
No, that made perfect sense. I've never been a particular fan of a lot of the weapons defenses in Kenpo, and it's just like with anything. No one system has everything, and exactly. Things evolve and change, and that's anything to help supplement the training and help improve upon it. Because that's the beauty of Kenpo, is that it can be customized and changed, and you can add and alter and all those different things to make it work. So I like that. So let's since you mentioned him, we've of course got to talk about how you got connected with Larry Tatum. So he is my teacher promoted, got his 3rd and 4th from Mr. Tatum. So we are Tatum brothers, Tatum kin. I don't know the proper term, but how did you get connected with Mr. Tatum?
At the time that I was strictly under William Martino for my Kenpo, and he was giving me everything. And we don't talk anymore. There's a falling out, and it's not his fault. Like, I'll say this right here. As I started moving on with Tatum and other people, I wasn't getting my private lessons anymore, and I just I never gave him the credit moving forward that I should have. And I'll say here on this platform, William Martino got me started, and I feel so guilty for that. But sometimes I'm not an asshole, but it was an asshole move. I just didn't. I should have been. This is where I got my base from. But what happened is, I was a third degree under him at this point, and but he was doing his job, and I was like, I mean, he had a business, he was doing things too, so I needed to be part of an organization. I felt the need for that, so I called all these different organizations, and a lot of them, it was some sort of hook. Well, you get your students to sign up, and I'll give you a kickback, or I'd call, I never talked to the person, and so I had the video, so I the VHS, and there was a phone number on it. So I call it up, and they're like, "Hello, Tatum's Kempo Karate," and I said, "Yeah," and I'm sitting all cool, casual. I'm like, "Yeah, Larry Tatum, please." And he goes, "This is him," and I'm like, you know. And I had a very short 15-minute conversation with him. I explained to him I'm mostly a Tracy system guy. I'm now learning Parker. Do I have to switch everything over the way you do it? Because now I'm learning it William Martino's way. He was under Huck. I think Huck or Joe. I forgot who he was under. Do I have to switch everything over? And he goes, no. I was like, I don't, because I kept getting that pushback from everybody. He's like, I'll never forget. He said, David, we're about education. You know, he told me it's like, at that point, it was $350 for the membership. I said, per month, per year? He goes, one time. And I was like, one time. And he goes, the manual was $150, you know, the big book. And I was like, okay, and are there any fees when I test my students? They're like, no. Do my students have to join your association? No. I was like, sounds like no bullshit to me. So I signed up, and I was with him, and sometimes I can call him for questions, and he always would get back to me. And then I asked him how much it was for a seminar at the time. Now, this was back in 2000, I think. And then it was like $2,100 or something like that. I'm like, okay. And I was like, well, how much do I get out? He goes, none. I'm like, he goes, David, it's about the education and the experience. And he said to me, he said, when I come out there, your students are going to want to do this even more. And I'm like, and I had never met him. So I said, no, okay. He came out for his visit, you know, and I'm shitting my pants because it was expensive. My school was small at the time. I think we might have had maybe 45 students. And Dave Todd was a huge help. Dave Todd came out with his students. He's an amazing martial artist. Francisco Vigoro, a few of those guys came out. And Tatum was telling me, I was like, listen, this is going to be a hard nut to swallow. I was like, I'm crapping my pants. And he goes, call these people up, ask them. And he literally told me who to call. And everybody showed up. Everything was covered. You know, I picked him up. Dave Todd brought him in. I forgot how else he was. I picked him up, but I remember everything fell through on that visit. I took him to the hotel. I booked a hotel at that time. We didn't have the internet wasn't the same as this, and I booked him a place at the Four Seasons. I got a great deal on it. We show up, something went wrong. There's no room for this guy, so I put him and his wife in the Hard Rock Cafe connected to the hotel. I'm driving around calling people trying to get a hotel. I get that covered. I'm like. And he's like, don't worry about it. He wasn't upset. We don't need the Four Seasons. Comes out. Dave Todd brings him to the school that day. And everybody shows up. He opens the seminar. He bows his head and he says, let's open with 5 swords, just to warm us up. And me and my students like, yeah, we're going to show you how good we are. The sound. This was an 800 square foot room. And the sounds of bodies getting hit. Reggie, me and my students froze for a minute. We couldn't keep up with these guys. We trained with contact, but not on this level. We didn't have those condensing movement things of how to pop, pop, pop with power. That was very humbling. So at one point he brought me up. He kept bringing Dave Todd up and some other guy. Thank God, because if he had hit me like that, I probably would have died. And he brought me up for one short demonstration. I'd never been hit like that or manipulated like that. When he didn't move more than this much, and I felt my organs shift. I wasn't hurt or injured, but I felt the pressure. And when he left, I talked to my students, and that Monday was a very different school. So that was, it was, it was interesting.
Oh yeah, he has a way of definitely opening eyes and hurting bodies.
In these videos, everybody's like, "Who's going to stand there for that?" And they're not. Because when he hits you, or his other affiliate schools, when they hit you, I was working with Dave Todd on delayed sword one time. I grabbed Dave and he went poof with an inward block. I couldn't move my arm. I actually backed away. I was like, I gotta sit down for 5 minutes. Like my arm was done. I was out of the fight. There was nothing to complete. So everything's supposed to cause trauma, but you learn so much when you understand why you're doing what you're doing.
Exactly. All right. So the teaching side of that, when were you always interested in teaching, or was it thrust upon you like many of my previous guests?
I was in college part-time at Community College Philadelphia, and I worked in a restaurant bartending and waitering tables. Typical, right? In my head, I was going to be a school teacher or a physical therapist, and I was training martial arts because I just loved it. I had no, like, owning a school or even being a teacher were the farthest things from my head. I was just having fun. I was like, good, I'm learning how to defend myself, and I just freaking love this art and all the people in my dojo that I was learning at the time with Tostins. They were great people, and they trained hard. They really did. But I'm working in a restaurant, and I'm struggling. I'm working, I have an apartment I could barely afford, a car that was a piece of shit, and the restaurant bosses are very tense. And so one time before shift, he's yelling at everybody and he threatens to fire everybody. And, he's like, Pantano. I'm like, yeah. He goes, you don't look like you give a shit. I'm like, no, I do. I just don't see how you're going to fire everybody before the shift starts. And he's like screaming at me. So I go to the back room after the meeting was over. And I just decided I need to do something where someone is not in control of my finances. I'm like, what do I know that I can bring value to the table and help people and learn to support myself while I'm in school? So I walk into I know martial arts. I wasn't a black belt. I was a brown belt at the time, but I'm like, I think I know enough where I could help somebody who doesn't know anything. I walked in to meet the director who was in charge of different clubs and activities. And she goes, can I help you? And I said, I have the best martial arts program you're ever going to see. That was my opening line. She goes, okay, 1 day a week, 1 hour a week. It's a 60-40 split. You get 60%, we get 40%, we cover your insurance, everything. And I started putting out flyers because back then that's how you did it. I was telling my customers, I would wait on a table and with the check, I put a folded piece of paper with my school.
Nice.
It was with like word art, from that.
Oh, yeah.
It was like Johnny Lawrence from Cobra Kai when he was doing the dance.
Oh, I love it. He's my spirit animal.
I opened my school with 11 students. And some of those students I still train with. But that's how this whole thing got started. And it went from a 1 day a week to a 2 day a week thing, and then 3. And then eventually we had enough students where I said, I don't want to share this room with the other martial artists or daycare. We come in and there's like kitchen utensils all over. And they said, no, this is for everybody. I said, well, I'm going to take my 50 students at the time and we're going to go somewhere else. Okay, we'll put a lock on your door. We'll give you the room. I said, let the Krav guys stay. I like them. And that's how I quit my day job. And I was like, which was nuts because I knew nothing about business. I knew stuff about teaching. I did everything wrong, but that's how the full thing got started.
Very nice, yeah. Yeah, just
coffee and adrenaline. That was literally how we got started. It was like there was no business sense at all.
Yeah, no, that's just like the saying goes, all of the belt color show doesn't mean that doesn't just apply to the techniques. It also applies to business, and just like you said earlier, it was like, yeah, you have a black belt, but
you're a white belt.
Doesn't mean that you can run a business. So yeah, that's when
huge. I started
with
Premier, I wouldn't do anything with it. I was paying him $1,000 a month for consulting all this stuff, and I wasn't getting any results. And I'm talking to the owner at the time, and he's telling me, he basically he's like, David, you're a great martial artist. I'd never let you run my school. He goes, I'd let you run my classes. You're a white belt in business. And there's a lot of traditionalists that go, you don't need to know business, teach martial arts. You do, because it's the business of people. you're balancing business, unless it's a part-time thing where you have a full-time job and you're running a club and you teach who you want to teach, that's great. But when you're trying to run a quality program and you got people who don't care about they don't want to become a black belt until you teach them how great it is, or they don't want to really learn the beauty of martial arts. They just want to punch it. Like, there's a whole business behind that. So, yeah, you got to learn about business. Dealing with people is a business. There's so many aspects of the business in the business.
Oh, for sure.
Gosh,
yeah, it gets pretty wild out there. It's not just like a Karate Kid where people just naturally flock to what you have to offer, and they're fine with washing cars and painting fences.
You
And
go
stuff.
home and you cry a lot. It's a struggle.
Very nice, very nice. So, something that I've been asking my guest is, since there isn't a standard or a rule set for what it means to be a black belt, what it means to earn a black belt, I've been asking, what is your interpretation? What are your thoughts around what it means to be a black belt, what it means to earn a black belt, and just kind of there's no right or wrong answers. Just what's your take on that?
Well, for kids especially, there's a junior black belt. And some people, I see these things online, no, nobody's getting a junior black belt. But I see schools where they give like a 10-year-old, everybody, you can get the same black belt as an adult, which I also think is, in my opinion, nuts, because an adult black belt understands the mental aspects to it. There's a different kind of training that an adult gets. The levels of force taught are different. It's still a martial art. So for a kid to earn a junior black belt, I don't do the 2-year thing or 3-year thing. It's like, I teach my curriculum. You're not getting shit except another belt for 2.5, 3 years at least, or more. I don't do that at all because I'm not a belt factory. And like everybody thinks, oh, you give everybody belts. But every belt test, I always say that to people. I'm like, look around you. You guys in the back, because the higher ranks are in the back. I'm like, is everybody you started with you now? They're like, no. And there's always less people. I'm like, that's because not everybody can make it to that part. There's a point where I may help you get to another rank. I might say, you need to do these things. You're not going to test this time, but you need to do these things to get to the next one. Because you have different levels of intensity and passion for it. Some kids are there because their parents need them to learn martial arts to grow up to be the strong man or woman they want them to be. Okay? Because they're growing up in a, I work at Starbucks, I'm so sensitive kind of world. So for them, yeah, you need to be able to defend yourself. You need to understand what we're teaching you, and you need to be able to accept constructive criticism. You need to accomplish certain things. You don't just pay for a test. You pay me to teach you, but you have a better chance of seeing God than getting your black belt if you don't do what I need you, if you can't conduct yourself like a martial artist. As far as adults, we get different adults in here. I have adults in here that are in their 70s. Okay, that have been here 20 years, 25 years. Bruce Wolf's been with me since I almost opened the school. I have another guy. I have students, Andy Skaziak. I have many students, Ken Morgan. These guys have been with me 21 years. Their bodies are different after a while. So to move to another level, your body can only do so much. I might get a student. I have a student who just started with me 6 years ago. He just turned 75. Well, the requirement's going to be a little different. So I have a curriculum which I cover, but not everything is required. So you need to understand the art. I have a few students that are just Krav Maga, but most of it now is counter-strike martial arts, where it's your Kempo and your Krav Maga entries and elements, and it's all you're getting your black belt in Kempo, but I have those extra things in there for you. But you have to understand, you have to be able to move a certain way, your body principles, torque, body alignment, magic gravity. Do you understand what you're doing? And they don't get tested by memorizing a technique. Why do you think the schools are failing? Regular schools, like educational schools, are failing? Because these kids memorize for a test, so the school gets their grants and their money. But then this kid can't even do basic English or math in their first year in college. Well, you know what happens when we try to memorize something? It's over after the test. So my students need to be able to respond. Do you understand what the art is teaching you? That's what I'm saying. And then you test. And I don't do a 5-day test or a 4-day test or a 10-hour test. I test you. Your test really is, what are you doing in class? I got a few kids in here, a few adults. They're not testing because you're not doing your job. I'm not moving you to that next level because you don't deserve to move to that next level. There's no HR department here. I don't have to do shit. I have to teach quality classes. So for me, it's, you're moving well. My students don't move like me all the time. There are some that move like me. I don't move exactly like Tatum, and Tatum will tell you that. I move like me. I've adapted. I train with Tatum and Lambert a lot. I don't move. I'm not a replica, and my students aren't drones either. I got students that are law enforcement that are black belts. They're 5'9" and 225 pounds, okay? And they're in their 50s. They're not going to move the same as me because they have brute strength. So they move by what they know. Are they doing it correctly? And do they embody the principles of the system? Then you're eligible to test. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes. I like that.
All these things, now you can test. I don't care what you memorize. Can you make shit work? It doesn't go by attendance either. You showed up, that's wonderful. You still suck, and you're not putting forth effort. Oh, you can do the technique faster than everybody, but you're not respectful, or you're an asshole. You're still not testing. There's a lot that goes into being a martial artist. You understand?
Oh, yes. I like to I like to stay away from controversy on this show, so I'm not going to go on my rant. But
we can. Have to. You can lead me into that talk. I'm happy to elaborate.
We may have to do that offline. But you were definitely hitting some points, and I was kind of jumping and squirming in my chair. It's like, I don't want to go down this rat hole. But
I got like 4 more sips. Just
well, I mean, there's definitely a how do I want to word this? I mean, there's definitely a softening in our culture today, and with the young people and the old people for that matter.
I don't do some of the crazy shit I used to do when we had 50 students, because I look back on the drills we did, I'm like, that's crazy. And the people that come in, it takes me, when I get new students, kids, and I say, do a shirt grab, they grab like this. Like,
yes, yeah.
Playing. They're used to this. They're not physical. You see what it's like.
Oh, yeah.
So it takes more time to get that. So it's not about that, but at the same time, think about it. You're a college, you're a university, and if you have like a 80% fail rate, is it because it's so difficult? Are you proud that most of your students can't be successful? But you have to have that balance of, I want my students to do well, but I'm not trying to fail them. I have to help them to become successful. And that is something that we do very well here. You're not all going to pass. You're all not going to get there. But I will help you as much as I can. But we have like 200 some odd students. But I can't have that if I fail everybody. I'm not promoting you for sport either. But people will keep coming back and keep paying me because I am helping them to become. I help you to learn this information so you can go forward. I don't sit there and go, my school is so badass and hard, no one passes. Well, a leader with no followers is taking a walk alone. So you have
exactly.
You have to lead well, and there's different ways to do that.
I like it. Oh my goodness! So like it happens with just about all of my guests. I mean, we're flying through time, and there's so many things that I'd love to get into, but we obviously can't have a 12-hour show as much as I might enjoy that. We can't do that. So we're definitely going to have to get you for part 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and all 12, but we're going to go ahead and move into our lightning round here. So I got a few little questions for you as we head towards wrapping up here. So the first question, do you have a favorite technique?
Yes, I would say circling destruction and parting wings.
Very nice. Very
Great
nice.
concepts in it. Great concepts, tools.
I like it. I like it. I like it. All right. Next question. Do you have a favorite form and or
All
set?
four.
I had a feeling that was coming, but
I hate 5 and 6. I mean, I hate 3 and 5. I love 4 and 6.
oh, I think this is the first time I've heard a hate on three.
Long 3, short 3. I love.
Oh, okay,
My
okay,
favorite 3 is long.
okay. I should have known that's how it was going to go. Yeah, everyone loves short three and not so much a fan of long three. So,
Yeah.
okay. Now's all the stars are everything's in place now, and we're not at the apocalypse. So very nice. I like it. All right. Next question. Do you have a favorite weapon?
Bow staff and commas.
Oh, nice. I like it. All right. Then the next question here: if there was anyone that you could train with, living or dead, fictional or non-fictional, besides Ed Parker, who would that be?
Actually train.
And it could be anybody. It could be people that you've already trained with. They're just any person. They don't have to be real person. I mean, I've had Kung Fu Panda as an answer. I've had Mr. Miyagi as an answer. So any character.
I'd love to have met Ed Parker.
Yeah, we got to take Ed Parker off the table though, because this is a
Okay.
Kempo show. Ed
Norris.
Parker's off the table. Say again.
Chuck Norris.
Oh yes.
I would have loved to have had a lesson with him.
Yes, I like it.
It wasn't just a movie guy.
Oh yeah, no, he's the real deal, and nothing can't. No one has anything bad about him, so that's definitely one of the good ones. So
Yeah.
I like it. All right, our final question here: what is something that either motivates you to train, or something that you'd like to put out there to motivate others to train? I use the example of the movie Rocky IV. We have the training montage. He's chopping the wood. He's running through the snow. I see that scene, and I'm ready to hit the mats. So, what is something that motivates you to train, or something you'd like to put out for others to motivate them?
And multifaceted. One, we live in a dangerous world. I think you're a fool. I carry a gun too. I carry a Glock 19. I learn how to shoot. I train. I teach law enforcement. I taught it. I just taught at Quantico. I was teaching the Marine Police. I stay in shape. Now, when I work out in the gym, I always listen to my Rocky IV soundtrack is all the time. And when I'm on the elliptical, which I hate, I'm always watching the training montages of all the Rockies. So the thing is, I stay in shape. I'm 57. I stay in shape because I want longevity in what I do. And I can't go in there saying, all right, Johnny, I want you to do 3 push-ups. But Sensei, you look like you'd have a heart attack if you did 1. I got to lead by example. And when an older gentleman comes in and wants to learn, I can't say, I have to show them you could do it too. I'm an older gentleman now. And so it's survival. I want to be able to protect myself, and I also got to lead by example. Those are the 2 things that motivate me to train. I like when kids come in and they're like, you look older, but when I'm teaching, they see I can move well and I can relate. I like that when my adults come in, I'm like, listen, you can do it. We have to do things differently. I'm not a 24-year-old saying, it's okay, you can do it. I'm like right there with you, man. And for my kids, my own children, to see dad's in shape, dad can still do some cool shit. So that's why I do what I do.
I like it. All right. So we are at our very final piece of business for today, and that is our shameless self-promotion. So you can plug anything that you want, or if there's anything that we haven't covered that you wanted to make sure to say, you now have the floor, and then we'll close out from there.
Well, I have a small Patreon page called it's Counter-Strike Kempo on Patreon. Hasn't been updated enough, but that we're working on that so people who are students can go there and just get the ideas of how I teach, because I teach my Kempo outside of the box, my way of doing things. But we are right now in the process of getting a website that will be strictly for school owners and their staff members to be able to teach the way I'm sharing how I teach, how we retain our students, how we teach with a modern method, but of roots. How do you keep people engaged? And we teach for real life out there. So if anybody wants that, watch my Facebook page, David Pantano. That information will be dropping in about 4 more weeks.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. Make sure to get those links and stuff to me, and I'll make sure that they get in the show notes. I'm trying to get better at the show notes. So, listeners, viewers out there, I know I've gotten some feedback before about I never put anything in the show notes, but I'm working on it. So,
join my Facebook page.
But yeah, we'll make sure to get those links out there. So, yes, I thank you so much for taking the time to be on and sharing your story. I know we've had some trouble getting this together, but I'm glad that we got it worked out. So, thank you, and of course, you have the open invitation to be on anytime. I mean, like I mentioned, so many things that we didn't get into that I certainly want to. So, yeah, we'll definitely have to have you back on. But once again, yeah, I just thank you so much for being on, and I'm excited to get this out for the listeners and viewers, and we'll keep an eye on all the great things that you're up to.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated.
All right, thank you.